Where are we getting all these $25? Show the festivals. Do we have a realtor? Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Janavala Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Chiravanachari Yamuna Chiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Gacharya Satara Sata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Divine Chanavand Vidbalanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki BBT Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Savior of the whole world is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Bhavishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Gacharya Satara Sata Shri Shrimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Maya Bhanapadip Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Chaitra Dham Ki Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Shri Ram Lakshman Hanuman Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glory to some of the devotees. All glory to some of the devotees. All glory to some of the devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Guranga and Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6. Chapter title. What's the chapter title? Chant Hare Krishna and fight. Chant Hare Krishna and fight. Srila Prabhupada explained to Mr. Rajda how he had been propagating the Krishna conscious movement virtually alone. For years he had worked in the West, and now he was bringing his movement to India. Cooperate with us, he said. You are so kind. You have come to see me. You have got desire. So let us take it seriously. Mr. Rajda seemed very moved and replied, yes, sir, correct. It is serious, said Prabhupada, but nobody has taken it seriously. Bhagavad Gita is a popular book. Everyone takes the Bhagavad Gita and says, I am a student of Bhagavad Gita. But if the leaders of a society really set the example, others will follow. That's correct, said Mr. Rajda. A serious effort should be made. Only lip service will not help. That is correct. Mr. Rajda reminded Prabhupada how he had supported the Juhu temple at the time of the attempted demolition. So you have given a great service, said Prabhupada. Now, it is not only not demolished, but it is standing there. It is standing, affirmed Mr. Rajda, and a very nice temple. Mr. Rajda mentioned the possibility of a meeting between Srila Prabhupada and Morarji Desai. He said it could be arranged if it was convenient for Prabhupada. My life is dedicated for this purpose, said Prabhupada. It is convenient for me at any time. I am not keeping good health at the moment, yet still I have come. I am just trying, even up to the last moment of my life. If I can deliver some good to these people, that is my determination. What is this life? Life will end today or tomorrow or day after. But if you live just to the point, that is the idea. Otherwise, trees are also living thousands of years. What is the benefit? Mr. Rajda confirmed that the meeting could definitely be arranged. He would see the Prime Minister and fix up a time. So, said Srila Prabhupada, there's some Krishna's purpose that you were elected. It is through his blessings, said Mr. Rajda. Take advantage of his blessings, said Srila Prabhupada. Do some service. On the last scheduled evening of the Pandal, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra gave the introductory speech. Srila Prabhupada, however, did not attend. When the devotees asked to extend the Pandal another week, Prabhupada agreed, but said he would move to his now ready quarters at Hare Krishna land. Before leaving, Srila Prabhupada spoke with Mr. and Mrs. Mahadevia. Prabhupada had one of the devotees purchase a nice sari and he presented it to Mrs. Mahadevia. I stayed with you, and this is just my remembrance of thanks, so don't refuse. He gave a tape recorder to Mr. Mahadevia, a sari to the Mahadevia's daughter Preeti, and money to their servants. Mrs. Mahadevia was very pleased, but she protested, saying it was a traditional duty and a pleasure for them to receive Prabhupada in their home. Previously, Srila Prabhupada had been playing the tape recorder in Mr. Mahadevia's presence, and Mr. Mahadevia had admired the sound reproduction. Now, when Srila Prabhupada gave him the tape recorder, he protested, no, Prabhupada, I was not telling you that you should give me that tape recorder. I was just telling you that it's a good piece. No, Prabhupada insisted, this is for you. You must keep it. As Srila Prabhupada entered his beautiful quarters at Hare Krishna land, he remarked that no one could outdo Sarabi Swami. I think I haven't such a place to live anywhere in the world, he said. Los Angeles and New York are big, big cities, and London, Paris, but nobody can present such luxurious royal palace. Seeing how the one large room was arranged to facilitate his different activities, Srila Prabhupada said, this is like my room at the Radha Damodar temple. In one corner I am writing, another corner I am sitting, in another corner I am taking prasadam. The comparison was odd since the Radha Damodar place was a tiny cell. Yet Srila Prabhupada saw them as related, the beginning in Vrindavan and the apex in Bombay. In either place, he was the same person, humbly taking a little prasadam, writing his books, and ambitiously planning for spreading Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada discussed with several of his disciples and Dr. Sharma about his daily routine in Bombay. He said he would come down for darshan of the deity and would lecture once a week on Sunday. On special occasions, he would see a visitor in his quarters, but rarely. Generally, he said, people come to visit and say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And it takes a half an hour even. So what is the use of wasting time like that? How are you? Everyone knows that I am not feeling well. So they can come to the temple room in the morning, said Tamal Krishna Goswami. Yes, said Prabhupada. If they actually want to see me, I am going there. They can see me for a half hour. And for talking, there is no need of talking. How are you? How are you feeling? This is not talking. Instead, said Gargamuni Swami, they can buy some of your books downstairs. Yes, said Prabhupada, nodding approvingly. This is a waste of time. I want to stop this to answer all these things. How are you? By saving his time and energy, he said he could work on his book writing. Devotees assured him that everyone would appreciate the schedule and would be happy that he was working on the 10th canto. I think I shall be able to work from today, Prabhupada declared. Now I have got very nice place, full freedom, so there will be no difficulty. Srila Prabhupada ki. Chant Hare Krishna and fight. So when we read this Lilamrita, we can see Srila Prabhupada. That's another point about reading Prabhupada's books. When we read Prabhupada's books, we see Srila Prabhupada writing and translating, and then we also see Krishna. They're in the same room together. It's like when Prabhupada was Radha Damodara, he was looking out the window. Who's been to Radha Damodara? I know everyone. Now Chaitanya's been to Radha Damodara. You were in Prabhupada's room, and then did you go to the kitchen, the other side, opposite the room? Did they let you into that room? It's across the veranda, so the other side. I don't know what the condition is now. They were making all types of funny arrangements, but you used to look out. Prabhupada could see from his window the samadhi of Rupa Goswami. It was right there. And there's that famous painting. Prabhupada had the vision of Rupa Goswami telling him how he should conduct the Krishna conscious movements. This is not ordinary visions. Just like we saw that in the previous verses, Lord Brahma had the vision of Narayan, and then Narayan disappeared after giving instructions. So Rupa Goswami was there, visible to Srila Prabhupada at the time when it was required, just to encourage Srila Prabhupada that these are not ordinary topics that someone can just write about from some remote situation. This philosophy needs to be acted upon. Otherwise, what is the use of these books just for reading? There are many libraries. People can go in there and read books anytime. But knowledge is meant to be acted upon. This is the difference between just reading for some mental pleasure. And Prabhupada was so, how much he sacrificed to write these books. You know, and then some people don't even read them. You know, so-called devotees, they'll just, you know, they, and then after some time they'll say, oh, Prabhupada has not given us everything. But have you read everything? Have you understood everything? And so this is so we have to be cautious by those who tell us that we should read other books. There are some other books, but they should complement what Prabhupada has given us in such a way that our faith is made firm, not that it becomes divided. Right? Someone may say that, you know, in this popular culture, there are many stories that detective novels and whatnot. I was a private detective. You see so many trials and tribulations of the living entities. And one of the most famous scenarios is that these rich persons, they'll keep some maid in the home, But that maid is not a maid. She's actually the man's consort or the woman's consort. Not just the men have this difficulty. Women also have this difficulty. It's this, the senses are never satisfied. They're always looking for some additional, even though it's just iron pot and gold pot. The same thing. So your faith in spiritual masters should never be compromised. Should never be that, oh no, this is okay. It's just a little different. People talk like that. And say, no, you can read this. It's okay. It's not a problem. We're all the same family. This is just being attracted to the maid in the house. She's not your wife. And she's not, but somehow or other, you may feel some attachment for whatever reason. But to indulge in that attachment is to eventually become compromised. And then maybe you run away with the maid and you leave the wife. So chastity is another word for faithfulness, but on a different platform. So someone who is a chaste wife or a chaste disciple, he is strictly connected without deviation. Even there may be some disturbance, he doesn't leave. So don't become bewildered by this flowery language of people who say, oh yeah, this guru is very nice. He speaks very nicely. We should go see. We should hear. We should read like this. No, there's no need. What is the need? If one is actually reading Prabhupada's books, then he knows there is nothing else required for spiritual life, spiritual realization, spiritual perfection, the ultimate goal to go back home, back to Godhead. And we see how Prabhupada was sacrificing. Anyway, very important points. One should clearly read Prabhupada's life in depth to understand how he has sacrificed for us. Okay, so we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 10th chapter. The divisions of creation. So we'll read text 1 and then we'll chant text 2. I'll read text 1. You can follow along. Vidura Uvacha Antarhite Bhagavate Brahmalo Ha Pitamaha Prajak Sasarajakat Didha Dai Hikir Manasir Vibhu. Sri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 2. Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayarta Bahuvitama Tan Vadas Vanupuravyena Chindinak Sarvasangsayan. Please chant. Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayarta Bahuvitama Tan Vadas Vanupuravyena Chindinak Sarvasangsayan. Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayata Bahuvitama Tanvadas Vanupuravyena Chindinak Sarvasangsayan. Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayata Bahuvitama Chindinak Sarvasangsayan.
Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Ayatha Bahuvitama
Tanvadasvanupuravyena Chindinak Sangsayan Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayata Bhavitama Tanvadasvanupuravyena Chindinak Sangsayan. Anyone else?
Yechame Bhagavan Pristas
Yechame Bhagavan Prishtas
Vayata Bahuvitama
Tvayata Bhavitama
Tanvadaswani Purvyena
Tanvadasvanupuravyena
Dina Sarvashamshayan
Chindinak Sangsayan. We'll just do the word for word from text 2. Yea, all those, cha, also, may, by me, Bhagavan, O powerful one, Krishna, inquired, Dwayi, unto you, Artha, purpose, O Vittama, O greatly learned one, Tan, all of them, Madasva, kindly describe Anupuravyena from beginning to end. Chindi, kindly eradicate. Na, my, Sarva, all, Sangsayan, doubts. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts, and let me know all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. And let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Please repeat. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts, and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Purport. Vidura asked all relevant questions of Maitreya because he knew well that Maitreya was the right person to reply to all the points of his inquiries. One must be confident about the qualifications of his teacher. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Such inquiries, when replied to with imaginative answers by the teacher, are a program for wasting time. Om Jnanatamnanjasya Gananjana Slokaya Chaksho Amalatimina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vatsavam Pango Mankayate Karim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. So obviously the main point here is to hear from a bona fide source. That one should be sure, what is the qualifications. Just like when one goes to a school, he wants to know what is the accreditation of the teachers, what is their academic pedigree. Even in dog life, when people want to buy an expensive animal, they want to know the pedigree. They want to see the papers. Who is the mother? Who is the father? Who is the grandsire? Like this, because they're paying for something which is guaranteed. That is the whole definition of the term pedigree. It means a valid history of genealogy. And this way there's a pure bloodline. And what is the dog without a pure bloodline? What is he called? A mutt. He's a mutt. So there are many such teachers like that. They have no pure pedigree. They're mutts. Whatever they like, whatever they think, however their mind takes the words and twists them up, It's like word Scrabble. You put everything in a container and you shake it up and you throw it on the ground and they speak it. There's no logic to it. This is the Prabhupada called that flowery language. It sounds nice. It's like a bouquet of flowers. It looks nice. All different flowers put together. But what is the real purpose? You know, if you actually have a beautiful flower, what is the point of having to merge it with so many other flowers? A lotus stands alone. You don't put a lotus in with other flowers because other flowers diminish the beauty of the lotus. And it's the same with also, like gardenia. Gardenia has a unique scent. You don't want to mix it up with other inferior scents. What is the name of the gardenia in India? Anyone know? Who knows? Arjuna knows. What is the name? Gardenia. What do they call in India? Gandharaj. Gandharaj. The king of smells. Gardenia. Gandharaj. So you don't mix the king of smells with some other inferior flower. In the same way, such teachings which are coming. So my Vidura is inquiring for Maitreya because he's a perfected person. He's a perfected person in all various aspects of his existence. So when you ask a question of such an individual, you are assured of getting the correct answer. Because everything is there. Evam parampara praptim imam rajasya viduhu. It is continuous. The parampara is continuous. There's no break. Some people say, oh, well, what happened? We see that there's a gap here. We don't understand. But actually, the knowledge has no gap. Personalities have different lifespans. Sometimes they're separated by time, but not separated by knowledge. And for one who is not envious, then he understands how this transmission of knowledge is continuous. And he doesn't think about this, the so-called discrepancies that is there to bewilder persons who have little faith. So this, and of course, what is the test of one's ability to appreciate that which is bona fide? It's like people who are so-called food tasters, right? They train just to have a particular taste, whether it's coffee or wine or something like that. And they're paid high sums of money because their taste is very refined. And they can distinguish between one smell, taste, texture, and another. Other people cannot do this. You put 10 glasses of wine in front of a layman. For him, it's maybe slightly different, but he cannot say that it came from this region in France or this particular type of grape and like that. He cannot say that. But that person who is the professional taster, he can tell you exactly where that grape came from. So we also have to have that refined attitude to ascertain the knowledge that is being given to us. Where is it coming from? Someone may say something that sounds very nice, but what is the source? One has to have that. He has to know this is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 10th chapter, discussions between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. He quotes, he says, no, this is from here. This is from Bhagavad Gita. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're not just making things up. This is the difference between the Krishna conscious movement and other so-called spiritual movements. If it sounds right or if they have some little realization, they put it out as absolute truth. And many people are bewildered. They think, oh, this person is very smart, very learned. And in this way, they're cheated. And this is why Prabhupada uses that term, cheaters and the cheated. If one is not serious about spiritual life, he's just looking to hear something nice, he's just looking to appreciate some insignificant aspect of spirituality just for his mental or sensual pleasure, then he can easily be cheated. He's not looking for the absolute truth. So brahmachari means basically student of the absolute truth. Doesn't mean someone who wears saffron. Many people wear saffron. In India, so many people, not just in India, but elsewhere, in Buddhists, Thailand, everywhere. There are so many monks wearing saffron. But what does it mean? If one is brahmachari, it means he is student of the absolute truth. That is his purpose. His purpose is not just to wear some color in order to beg some alms and get some money. That's there. As a brahmachari, it also means he is a student in the gurukul or in the ashram of the spiritual master, and he must beg alms on behalf of the teacher. That's also there at Guru Dakshin. It is also part of the process of becoming purified, becoming humble, becoming subservient to the right person. Choosing the spiritual teacher, choosing the spiritual master is not something to be taken lightly. People search, there's even many cartoons of a person climbing at the top of a hill, some Himalaya, something, and some person sitting there in a cross-legged position. And then the person inquires, what is the absolute truth? Of course, that person doesn't know. He's just. But they have that idea that it's something special, which only a certain person and only after performing certain austerities and has to be achieved like this. Going to the Himalayas was a traditional venture. So it has some reality in that sense. But one finds the truth by hearing, not by seeing. Not by seeking out. So in all these things, what is Vidura asking? He's asking to let me know what I've inquired from you. What are those answers? This is hearing. There's nothing being shown by some other process. Of course, it can be. Like Brahma was given that vision, and then Lord Narayan was able to depart, having imparted whatever knowledge Brahma required to create. That's the inspiration. And what does it require for creation? What is Brahma? He's in charge of which mode? Mode of passion. So this inspiration is important for creation. There has to be some motivation, something is required, some impetus. So in Brahma's case, that impetus was not just the will to do something, but also the knowledge how to do it. So not that we act like some foolish monkey to do something. Prabhupada gave that analogy that there's so many monkeys in Vrindavan. You saw them, right? Did they steal your iPhone or your glasses or anything? No. The monkeys are trained by these small boys. It's not a random thing that the monkey just comes and steals your glasses. Why? What does a monkey need with glasses? They steal the glasses because they've been trained to take the glasses, and then some little boy will run up with a 5 rupee container of fruity. Do you know what fruity is? Little drinks there. And he'll toss the fruity up to the monkey, and then the monkey will throw the glasses down. And then the boy will come up to you and say 200 rupees. So he makes 195 rupees profit. And if the monkey happens to get your phone, then the little boy gets a lot more money. 200 rupees is just for glasses. For iPhone, it might be 500 rupees by now. So like this, we can see that monkeys, they have some intelligence. They're trained. So we're not trained monkeys simply parroting some philosophy, and dressing in a certain way, as people like to think that these people are all just, mindless, followers of some, philosophy, ancient philosophy. So our duty, just like here, Prabhupada was asking, not here, but in Lilamate, he was asking Mr. Rajda, who had just been elected, who was a politician. But he was asking him to do something, do some service, something special. All right, so in that sense, Prabhupada is asking all of us to do something special. And that was the point, to impact society in a positive way. To impress those whom we meet. Right? Vaisheshika Prabhu is very keen on this. And when you're distributing a book, you're not a salesman. You're distributing the highest knowledge, and the opportunity for that person to be impressed by you may be his one chance this lifetime. That he sees that bright face, that he sees the spark of knowledge in your eyes that he lacks. That these people have something that I want, not just a book. But they have the solution to the problems of life, which is what the Bhagavatam ultimately is. So no one else has this. When you look on, they have these different advertisements. In India, they call them advertisements. And in America, they call them advertisements. And they're selling something. And they're selling the benefits of something. If you buy this, it will cut your labor in half. That's typically how they want to, whatever it is, a vacuum cleaner, a mop that spins, a robot vacuum cleaner. They want to sell you something, but they're selling you the benefits. They're not, the object is secondary. So the salesperson is selling you the benefits of buying this object. So we are also talking examples of the benefits of this philosophy if we're properly presenting it. And we should be very careful, of course, of our behavior in interacting with the public. We have, there are so many things that can be done. Like at the time of the medieval time in Vrindavan, there was nothing in Vrindavan. Vrindavan was just the Jamuna, the cows, the pastures, the villages. There was no buildings, there was no temples. When Sanatana Goswami was sitting there meditating at Sattila Hill, where Madan Mohan is constructed, he just happened to interact with that man whose salt barge was grounded. And as a favor, the man said, after I go to the market and sell all my salt, I'll come back and build you a temple. It was all Krishna's arrangement, of course. So such persons are there everywhere. And Prabhupada touched some. They're still here. There's multi-million billionaires. You never know who is that person who will come forward to build a grand temple. But you have to treat every person as if that person has the capacity. You don't treat someone differently just because they have 10 cents or $10 million. If they're serious about knowledge and they're true seekers, then we treat them exactly the same way. We don't give special preference to a person just because he's dressed nicely. If Prabhupada did that, there'd be no Hare Krishna movement. Everybody who joined were all hippies. They were not nicely dressed people. If you see Brahmananda and Achyutananda dancing in Tompkins Square Park, they look like hippies because they were hippies. Prabhupada didn't think, let me just only speak to people who are well dressed. No, he is. So this knowledge is given freely, without any distinction, without any prejudgment. And we have to make sure that that is done with the proper spirit in mind, not that, oh, this person has come and now I have to speak to him begrudgingly. No. Our enthusiasm is contagious. Just like when you dance in the kirtan, one person's dancing, then another person dances, and then two people, then before you know it, everyone's dancing in the kirtan, especially if Tulsi is doing the kirtan, you see? So this enthusiasm for anything in spiritual life, it takes the effort to engage yourself. What did Prabhupada say? He said, even if you don't want to dance, dance and the bliss will come. Right? Even if you don't want to dance, because you have to know how to tap into the spiritual bliss. So Krishna is waiting to see whether you're exercising your free will in this regard for his pleasure. I'm not dancing for my pleasure. I'm not dancing because it's a good substitute for exercise. It is automatically. If you walk past the gym down the block here, everybody's on a treadmill and they're like this and they're like this. They're moving up and down and they're moving back and forth. They could just come here and dance in the kirtan for half an hour. We don't even charge anything. And if you go there, you have to park your car. It costs $10 just to park the car. We don't charge anything. And that's only for half an hour. Come and dance with us, and your life will become perfect. Yeah. Because you're pleasing Krishna, you're getting special benefit. It may not be immediately beneficial, but why is it called Mangal Arti? What does Mangal mean? Auspicious. It means auspicious. Because if you go to Mangal Arti, your whole day is auspicious. If you start out, and people know that, they say so many funny things that like, you have to get out of bed on the right side. When someone has a bad attitude, what do they say? Oh, he got out of bed on the wrong side. I didn't know there's a wrong side, but that's what they say. Obviously, there's an auspicious side. And if you don't get up at all for Mangal Arti, then obviously your day is not going to be completely auspicious. You can make up for it. There's Tulsi Puja, Guru Puja. There's many ways to make up for it, but Mangal Arti is the best way to start the day. There's no doubt. If you have practical realization of this, and no one has to tell you. No one has to shake you all the time. Prabhu, it's time to get up. In the Brahmacharya ashram, sometimes it's necessary. People work so hard in the old days when it was very hard. We used to go around with a bell. And then people, they kind of. So then from a bell, we went up to a spray bottle. Like a water gun. Nobody likes to get wet. And what happens is they get up a little angry, chase you down the hall. But at least they're up. Temple commander has to do so many things. But that's his service. Sometimes he has to ask somebody to do something. They don't want to do it because come on. So not many people like to be temple commander. My godbrother, he's a big book distributor, famous, distributed the very first Krishna book. He is the father of book distribution, Buddhi Manta Prabhu. A very sweet devotee. He also helped to open up the Pacific Rim. He went to with Hansrupa Prabhu and to Australasia, and they preached all there. And because of them, now you have huge yatra, the Australian yatra. It takes great determination. These are all young men. So one time, he was feeling a little bit exhausted, doing books all the time, continuously. It's a hectic service, you know. So we were in the big temple on 55th Street. So I was a temple commander. He said, Prabhu, can I do your service for a little while? I said, sure. You know, I have no objection. You know, what was my service? He was asking me this. We're standing in what's called a utility closet. That's the nice name for it. What we used to call is a slop closet. Slop, because everything is sloppy. Dumping the dirty buckets in there. It's not a very clean place. We have one downstairs. I'm going to engage some of our new enthusiastic cleaners how to clean that utility closet so that we don't have to call it a slop closet. So he asked me, so I said, okay. And I remember a few weeks later, I was just doing other projects, taking the time to go out and also distribute, you know, Back to God in magazines. So I came, this was on the 6th floor, which is the Brahmachari floor. And I saw him standing just outside the closet, because it's not so big. And he was saying, okay, Prabhu, I've had enough. You can have this service back. Because it's a hard service. You're engaged in very menial activities, mopping floors, engaging other people, making sure the temple is clean. It's not menial in the sense that it's a diminished service. Never think like that. All devotional service is on the absolute platform, whether you're dressing the deity, cooking for the deity, or mopping the deity's temple. Right? Sringara Tan Mandira Marjanado. But different people have different aptitudes. It's not for everyone. But if the temple is not clean, everybody notices it. So the temple commander's job is very important. Keep the temple clean. Keep everybody engaged. It's not an easy service, but it's a necessary service. All temples in Gaudiya Math, they call their temples Mat. Mat means a place like a shelter. And Lord Chaitanya would go to the different temples. He would approach the Mat commander. They call the Mat commander, not the temple commander. And he would ask to be engaged in service. Lord Chaitanya. So this is how important that service is. That Lord Chaitanya acknowledged that this is the person he went to. He didn't go to the head priest. He didn't say, I'm Lord Chaitanya, I want to go on the altar. No, he went to the Math commander and asked for some service. The Math commander may not also know who Lord Chaitanya is. Who can imagine what service they gave to Lord Chaitanya? But we see that by his example in the Gundicha Marjanando, everyone was engaged in cleaning the temple. Didn't matter if you were Brahmin or Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Everyone was cleansing the temple. So if someone is thinking that this is not the service I want to do, he has to remember Gundicha Marjanando. He has to remember Srila Prabhupada washing the pots after he cooked and he served out the prasadam to the devotees on 2nd Avenue. And the devotees are leaving their dirty plates and things for Prabhupada to clean. So there are so many stories like that. There's such great souls. No one can imagine. But now that you know, we should try to keep in mind how this movement has evolved, where it was and where it is now, and what our duty is in regards to bringing in as many people as possible to take shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Govinda. It's not a simple task by any means. People have to forgive the deficiencies of, the facilities that may not be up to their standard. Of course, hippies, they didn't mind. Anything was better than the standards most of them had living in some places. Many people now, they're coming and they might think, oh, this bathroom is not up to my standard. But if you go to seek the absolute truth in the Himalayas, you may not have any shelter. You may not have any soft bed or any roof over your head or any warm shower. If you're really serious, you just forget all that. You put it out of your mind. You're there for the real purpose, which is to get the absolute truth, which is available here in this location. Even though it may not be the so-called highest standard of living. But in all circumstances, it must be clean. It's Krishna's temple. So we have to endeavor to that degree. We don't want to leave dirty pots in the deity kitchen. The pot, Prabhupada said, cooking means cleaning. If you're cooking, you have to clean. Otherwise, your cooking is not complete. Krishna has not accepted that offering. Not the way you think. It is not how nicely you combined all the flavors, how you did it. If you leave one thing undone, then the offering is incomplete. You have to use the clean pot and you have to leave it clean. Then the offering is complete. Not only that, the counters, the floor, everything has to be done. Then it is done. So we should not be incomplete devotees, stressing on one thing and not seeing the big picture. Very important that we have that holistic. People like to use these words. They don't even know what it means. But we can appreciate that a complete person in every respect, spiritually, mentally, physically, that is the definition of a holistic and compatible with the surroundings. Maybe you can say environmental or otherwise. So that actually is devotees. If this philosophy was accepted all over the world, immediately there would be no wars. There'd be no famine. There'd be no disease. Not the way it is now, not the way it's portrayed. Right then. This is the solution. And we have to have that conviction in order to present it in that way. People are suffering. We have to have compassion. Because if we don't have compassion, who will? Not compassion for the person who is displaced from his situation due to some, political struggle. Yeah, this is there. We'll feed everyone. We'll do whatever we can. But that is just temporary. If a person is not elevated by that situation, if he doesn't get the realization that I'm suffering like this because of what is the cause, he has to understand what is the cause. Most of the causes now we see are as a result of moral degradation. There's the collapse of civilizations from time immemorial, Greek, Roman, eventually Western, will all collapse. It is predicted in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto. Everything is there. People will have children simply to eat them. And these things have already happened during World War II, during other points. People would sell the dead bodies of their children. People think, how is that possible? No, it's documented. They used to have posters reminding people, don't eat your children. Can you imagine? A poster. to remind people not to eat their children, the dead bodies. So there are whole classes of people like this. In India, there's a class of people called Agori. Do you know that, Mr. Arjuna? Agori? Agoris are cannibals. They haunt the burning ghats, rummaging around for some tasty morsel. They like especially brains. Agori. And if they can't find something, then they'll kidnap some hapless tourist and take him someplace and barbecue him. This is the material world. People think, what is this? Yes, no, this is a fact. It is not just some, there's, people become so bewildered through overintelligence. They think, oh, well, this person's not his body. I'm not my body. Ultimately, it's all food. Right? Just flesh. What's the difference? This flesh, that flesh, it's all flesh. So we should not be over-intelligent to try to rationalize things to such a degree. Such situations are there. There's, and we haven't seen the end, like I said, of Kali Yuga. This is just the beginnings, technically. It is up to us to take this golden age of Kali Yuga to try to turn things around, to prevent people from doing this. They're just passing laws now. Just imagine, they've just passed a law. In what state is that? Might be California, where it is legal now to kill a child up to 28 days after birth. After birth. This is demoniac, actually demoniac. But people think, no, it's okay. Not devotees. Devotees know that this is horrible. Who can imagine? Whether you're killing the, but they think, well, what's the difference? If I kill it in the womb or kill it outside the womb? And they have other things. They kill the old people. You know, they have this compassionate suicide, you know, assisted suicide. There are many fiction stories about this. It will all come to pass. It is. One person said, I want to go back to the time when fiction was fiction, not reality. Because now things are stranger. They say that. Truth is stranger than fiction. So don't be surprised, be prepared. This is the key. You know, by becoming strong spiritually, mentally, physically, by dancing in the kirtan, by distributing books, walking around on Harinam, by going up and down the stairs, not using the elevator. And 55th Street, there was 11 stories building. We used to run up and down the stairs. 11 stories. Not just 4 stories. Because you weren't brahmacharis, we weren't allowed to use the elevator. So this is, unless you had a service, you know. So we have to take what we have, right? Even the materialists say that. They say, if Krishna gives you lemons, make nimbu pani, right? Krishna gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Nimbu pani means lemonade. So Krishna is never giving lemons. We just sometimes think they're lemons. You know, we have the opportunity to make whatever Krishna has given us into something special. But it takes determination, it takes dedication, it takes conviction. It is not, if you just have a very casual attitude, then yeah, nothing will be accomplished. Prabhupada always said, shoot for the rhinoceros. So that is our mood. Whatever we do, we should do big. And the Karmis also say it. I keep saying the Karmis say it. They have they took it from the Vedic literature, I guess. What do they say? Say, go big or go home. Right? Right, Mahaprabhu? Go big or go home. So we should not be anything less. People say, oh, these Hare Krishnas, they're just lazy people. They cannot do anything. They can only stand on the street and beg. No. Lots of talent. Just like Prabhupada said, nobody but Surabi could do that design. Beautiful. Have you seen now Prabhupada's rooms in Bombay, in Juhu? Did you go up there? I can't believe it. You were in India, you didn't go to Juhu? Who's seen Srila Prabhupada's rooms in Juhu? Beautiful rooms. So beautiful. And you could see why Srila Prabhupada was impressed. Beautiful. Beautiful floors, inlaid columns, everything. A palace. Like a palace. Like Prabhupada Palace in New Vrindavan. Similar. So we have to offer the spiritual master the best. The best of us, the best of everything. We have to give him whatever we have, we should offer to the spiritual master. So everything, body, mind, and soul, right? And Mayapur Prabhupada defined that term, Sarvatmana. Who's heard that lecture? Sarvatmana. Prabhupada defined it. He said, Sarvatmana means full surrender. Full surrender with all your heart. No reservation. No reservation means nothing held back. Doesn't mean train ticket or a plane ticket. Means nothing held back. Like a reserve means something you keep for a rainy day. So full surrender means with all your heart, nothing held back. So that was Prabhupada's definition for Sarvatmana, full surrender with all your heart, no reservation. So this is how we should think. Krishna gives us an opportunity. We should take it. Don't think, well, no, that's not my type of service. I'll pass. And people think like that. I'll pass. I'm a preacher. I'm a pujari. I'm this, I'm that. Sarvapari vinir muktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikesa. Sarvapari means give up all these designations. Sarva upai, they're considered to be unwanted things. Hindrances on the path of devotion. Sarva upari. Give up all those things. Don't let them hold you back. Just kick them out. You'll be much happier once you're free from those limitations that you've imposed on yourself. That I am a servant. Gopi Bhatu Padakamalira Das Das Anandas. This is our mood. Lord Chaitanya's mood. We're simply trying to follow in his footsteps, right? And the footsteps of all these great devotees, right? And today's a nice fast day. We don't have to rush through the questions. Fasting till 7:29. Yes, Tulsi Prabhu. Huh? Yes. Oh, we have Bhakti Shastri now. What time? 9 o'clock? Good time? 10 o'clock. Okay, we have a little time. Thank you, Maharaj, for coming and giving us the benefit of your association, giving everyone the opportunity to attend, to hear from a senior devotee. How rare is this, especially now with the pandemic? Many people don't like to travel. They don't like to go this place. Everything is locked down. Somebody just said they locked down which temple? Baltimore temple? Tawako temple? Everyone, the temples they just lock down. Boom, boom, boom. It's like they never heard of natural immunity, you know. Not only that, all these places that are locked down have all been vaccinated. Vaccinated, triple boosted. So what's the point? What's the point? So anyway, any questions, any other questions before Bhakti Shastri begins? Who's attending Bhakti Shastri? Who's attending? Bhakti Jimmy, very good. Nataba, Garanga, who else? Who? Bhakta Vatsala. Maybe Sitaram. Huh? You can just discuss with Maharaj, discuss with her. It's what's the course curriculum, Maharaj? Is it 1 hour a day, a week? How does it work? From 10 till 1, so 3 hours? Okay, so in a week, 4.5 hours, like that? That's not too bad. I'm sure you could probably arrange. And what to speak, when you're a temple resident, it's free. Otherwise, it's $500. $500. Just think of how much you're saving by being a temple resident.
Money and your soul.
Saving money and your soul. It's a real bargain. Bhakti Jimmy can be our copywriter. Any other questions, comments, corrections? As Matunga would say, corrections. All right, then we'll end Srimad Bhagavatam class for today. It's Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, and it will continue. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. These things don't belong inside here. They get them.